Fellas, how in the hell are we doing here today? Alright, I know this review is a bit late here. Your boy got caught up playing Windblown, and I just felt a bit more compelled to talk about that first. But today we are finally here to talk about another game that I thoroughly enjoyed, and that's Fragpunk. We're technically not even late on this because the game isn't fully released yet, but I think it's definitely in a reviewable stage right now, and if there are some crazy drastic changes on launch, then we'll just make a separate video going over those. Jumping straight into things here, Fragpunk is an online tactical first-person shooter game developed by Bad Guitar Studios. Now, random sidebar here, but Bad Guitar Studio is a subsidiary of a different team called Thunderfire Studios, and Thunderfire Studios is a subsidiary of NetEase Game Studios. For those of you who don't know who that is, that's the company who's currently producing Marvel Rivals, which is easily one of my top games of this year, so that office building is having themselves quite an insane 2024. Bad Guitar is actually a brand new studio, with this being their first game, so there's not much of a previous record to go off of, but I will say this is quite the first impression to make. With this being a multiplayer focused game, there's not really anything going on here in terms of a story, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. They just don't have any sort of outlets like a single player or NPCs that are able to piece the world together for you. The settings for all the maps also don't seem to follow any sort of cohesiveness. They're all a bit random, but it does appear like the maps might be specific homes or regions that the characters come from, so that might be something that they explain in character bios or something on full release. The overall gameplay experience is extremely reminiscent of Valorant or CSGO, with a few changes to the traditional tac shooter formula. The main attraction for all three of these games is their 5v5 search and destroy style mode. If you're unfamiliar with what search and destroy is, this is a round-based game mode with 2 bomb sites on the map and 2 teams, one on offense and defense. There are also no respawns, so you only have 1 life per round. This mode has different names across different games, but the most recognized name, Search and Destroy, comes from Call of Duty. CSGO was the first real pioneer in this space, and then Valorant evolved the scene with the addition of hero abilities. Fragpunk takes on the hero idea of Valorant and introduces a completely new game feature that they're hoping is the next evolution in the tac shooter cycle, which is the addition of shard cards. Shard cards are essentially perks you vote on that change the way each round is played, and is easily the biggest standout feature of Fragpunk. At the beginning of every round, each team will vote on 3 different cards using currency that's earned during the game. And the effects of these cards can range from anything from extra headshot damage, grass that you can hide in all over the map, ice on the ground so everybody can slide. I mean, the options truly feel endless, and there's actually quite a few things that can drastically change the way a round is played. Now, some of you might be thinking, extra headshot damage? No healing for enemy team? This game sounds like a nightmare for ranked play. And I'll be honest, I kinda had that same idea, but they completely change up how the cards are distributed. In the ranked mode, you actually go back and forth with the other team, banning and picking cards each round, which is a perfect addition and helps out a lot. Most of the time, nobody wants to leave the super OP cards out there just in case the other team gets it, so everyone always feels inclined to take out things that just feel like immense levels of cheese. A big part of Fragpunk that we also can't skip up is its revamped economy system. In CSGO and Valorant, you earn currency throughout the game from kills, bomb plants, defuses. Pretty much anything that progresses the game earns you credits that you use to purchase all of your weapons and equipment. This adds a very interesting layer to the game where you, 1, don't have everything available to you at all times, 2, have to spend money wisely to give yourself the biggest weapon advantage possible in any given round, and 3, you have to work as a team to maximize your economy. Meaning in games like these, the ecosystem tends to work at its best when the whole team is deciding whether to buy or not buy, things like that. In Fragpunk, they take this idea, but instead of applying it to armor, weapons, and equipment, you earn shard credits that you use to collectively buy cards at the beginning of each round as a team. You still only have 1 use on all of your weapons, meaning if you die with it, you lose it until the halftime switch, but making the economy system work for the new feature that their game is centered around is honestly a really good idea that I thought worked really well. Since the economy isn't focused on the weapons, this also completely changes up the flow of the game compared to CS and Val. Those 2 games have a bit of a slow build-up because people can't buy good stuff right off the rip, and everybody's just trying to stack money. But in Fragpunk, everybody can spawn in round 1 with vectors, full hero kits, the whole shebang. It damn near feels like you're just spawning in round 5 of the other games, which is honestly pretty neat too. I like that. Things just immediately kick off, and you don't have to worry about starting off slow and not having money for anything good later on or anything like that. In total, this game has 12 different characters or lancers to choose from, each with a separate and unique kit that alters their personal playstyle from the rest. Originally, I was curious if any of these were blatant ripoffs of characters in Valorant, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm not familiar enough with that game to be able to tell you, and also at this point, I mean, come on, damn near every game has some sort of hero abilities, everybody's copying from somewhere. As of the latest beta, this game has 6 different maps to play on, and a few different TDM exclusive maps as well. I think overall the map design for the S&D specific mode was done extremely well. Maps for a mode like Search and Destroy are very particular with the routes and bomb placements, and I thought they did a fantastic job on all these. Our good friend of the channel, Bound Bimo, put it in a great way while we were playing. For sure.
Very good.
They got a lot of different little pathways and shit.
I said it was like almost the perfect balance of COD maps and Val maps, like, or CSGO-esque maps. Like, it still keeps 3-lane at heart while still making sure that there's like good sites that don't suck, that seem like afterthoughts, which is like what Call of Duty kind of does with S&D. They kind of make the bomb sites afterthoughts on most of the maps.
Thanks for the wise words, Bimo. But yeah, long story short, great maps. I'm a big fan. Activision should honestly let the people from Bad Guitar come over and design a map for BO6 because everything they got in there is terrible. The addition of the shard cards is already a huge change to the classic tac shooter, but something else that feels drastically different in Fragpunk is the movement and recoil. The movement for this game is a lot faster and a lot more fluid because your character never seems to lose momentum. You're always traveling full speed whether you're repeatedly jumping or sliding around the map. When it comes to the recoil, the guns in Fragpunk still follow a predictable pattern like CS and Val, but the gunplay is a lot more similar to something like Call of Duty or Apex Legends, where your crosshair actually follows the recoil. I honestly don't even really know how to describe this other than it just feels right. Like in CSGO, if I want to hit a headshot past the first bullet, I gotta start looking at people's ankles and feet, and it just doesn't ever make any sense at all. But in Fragpunk, I immediately picked up the guns and knew how to use them. Something this game also does that I definitely can't pass up on is the sudden death duels at the end of a tied game. No, not gonna lie, he was invisible.
Duel? What is
Whoa.
this? Oh, this is sick. This is how you do time, Dylan. This game is great.
Whoa, dude.
This is the coolest game of all time, dude.
If a match has to go to a game-deciding final round, then it turns into 1v1 duels between the two teams. Both teams will get 1 life per person and then decide what order they want to compete in. Once the order has been decided, 1 person from each team drops into a smaller map to fight. If you survive your duel, you continue playing until you're finally taken out, and this goes on until one team is completely out of lives. I know like a 1v1 duel mode isn't necessarily like the most revolutionary thing, like this isn't super new, but the fact that they have it to like decide a match, like even in ranked play, if a ranked play game goes to 5-5, the final thing's a 1v1 duel. I mean, it's super sick. I don't know how else to put it. Sometimes if me and the boys were doing really good in a game, we would just start throwing so we could purposely get to the 1v1s, just because we wanted to play it that much. Before we wrap up the gameplay section too, it's also worth mentioning that besides the trademark S&D mode, Fragpunk also recently introduced 2 respawn modes, a TDM, and a modified version of CTF. I played both of these a little bit and they were also a pretty good time. It feels like people are more comfortable to actually move around the map since they can just come back in an instant if they die, and the faster paced game really plays well with their combat and movement system. This game would honestly be a really fun arena shooter if that's solely what they focused on, but it's definitely nice to have the option between a more relaxed TDM or the more competitive Shard Clash. Switching over to the visuals, this game almost has a cartoon, comic book type feel to it from the characters, maps, and mainly the weapon or equipment effect animations. I feel like Valorant already pushed the boundaries, making their tac shooter not realistic, but Fragpunk takes that up by 10. Personally, I thought the game looks great. Everything is vibrant, colorful, and everything stands out from each other. You can easily tell where people are, which is important for a game like this. Moving on to the audio, everything just further backs up the fun, cartoonish vibes they're displaying with the visuals. The main point for this category is easily the footsteps. The footsteps aren't as big of a deal in the respawn game modes like TDM or CTF, but in their main attraction mode where you only have 1 life per round, it's a huge deal. I honestly wouldn't say the footsteps in this game are any louder than other tac shooters, but they're certainly loud as hell, I will say that. The way the maps are also designed does a good job at mixing up where the footsteps might be coming from in some areas, which keeps you guessing and can make things tense in clutch situations. Every character also has a voice actor that all have random banter quotes back and forth with the other teammates that keeps the match feeling lively. As far as bugs and issues go, this game was still in an early beta phase, so everything that would be in this category is most likely going to be completely different. Because of that, we're honestly not going to spend too much time in here, and it's something that we'll probably save for the update video whenever the full release happens. What I will say though is, the Sniper and Deagle are astronomically overpowered. They both need some sort of damage nerf, and people shouldn't get 2 Deagles a game. It should only be 1. I was also going to talk about the Hollow Point Sniper here because that thing was insanely OP, but they nerfed that mid-beta and it's in a pretty solid spot now. A lot of the main stuff they already tried addressing during the last beta test, but like I said, more stuff will change. We'll just hold judgment on all this for now. In conclusion, Your Honor, Fragpunk bangs. For any of you still around listening, I'll just be completely real with you. I don't like CSGO or Valorant at all. I know some of you might be like, wow, Luna, you're crazy, that's my favorite game. And it really do be like that, you know, that's still cool. I'm not trying to hate on them at all, but for me personally, those games just feel way too slow. I hate how the guns and recoil work, and I never played long enough to understand or care about the economy. I always just wanted to spawn in round 1 with an AK. Fragpunk fixes every problem I originally had with all these kinds of games. It feels like the characters move around a lot faster, more fluent, and the matches in general just move a lot quicker. You're not locked into one game for a whole hour. Fragpunk also has way more normal and manageable recoil. The bullets actually hit where the crosshair is, past the first bullet, and you don't have to aim down to try to land bullets above where your crosshair is. Fragpunk also completely ditches the traditional economy system for their own card system, which fully opens up choice and decision for what you want to use and when. If I had to wrap this all up into a rating today, 1 to 10, I think I'm going to give it a 9. Fragpunk took a classic proven formula and created their own unique product with it that I really enjoyed playing. I also can't really think of anything that held the experience back for me. I thought everything this game had to offer worked well, and I'm extremely curious to see what changes they make by the time we see this game next. Something I will say though that kind of scares me about its future is I'm really curious as to the kind of lifespan and community presence this game has on full release. Before Valorant, the entire tech shooter community pretty much solely belonged to CSGO. And then Val came in and had a big enough backing to sort of separate the CS community a bit while also bringing in their own fans to the genre. What I'm getting at is, I'm not 100% sure I can see Fragpunk splitting these communities up like Val did CS. People might come on release for a fresh experience, but I don't see this game being able to compete with a steadily high concurrent player count, massive tournaments, sponsorships, the streaming or content presence, I mean, you name it. I do really enjoy this game and I wish it the best in its future, but this genre has some absolute titans that it has to go up against. So we'll just have to see how things play out for Fragpunk. Well folks, that's gonna about do it here for the review today. I'm not gonna lie, we're really getting to the point where this 1 to 10 scale isn't cutting it anymore. I really want a channel-centered review scale because I'm tired of comparing things in my head like, oh, you gave this an 8, or this a 10, or this a 9, what about this, blah 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 blah. Like at that point, I'm not even comparing games that are the same. It's just too much to think about, so we're gonna get something else rolling here soon that I think represents if something is good, bad, or great a bit easier. Yeah, I'm gonna try to figure something out. Just wanted to let y'all know in case you were getting tired of the 1 to 10 too, because trust me, I feel that. Also, if you have any ideas of a review scale, you know what I'm saying, go ahead and comment them down below. I'd love to hear that. If this is gonna be the channel scale, might as well work on it as a channel. You know what I'm saying? Let's ping pong some ideas around, fellas. Let's make something cool together. But alright, yeah, that's actually gonna do it now, fellas. If you've also played Fragpunk, comment down below and let me know what you think of the game, because I would love to hear about your time playing. Also, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this. I post reviews like this all the time, and I have a few other Fragpunk videos I posted that I'll leave in the description if you want to check those out. Alright fellas, take it easy, have yourselves a good one. This has been Lunar, and welcome to Bound.